and employees. And that is an important team, but that is not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is the team that supports you, that's express and sole purpose is to help you succeed. Do you have that team? Your team includes people like your mentors, the people who guide you in doing what they've already done. Your team includes your mastermind, like-minded souls who have goals just like you and are willing to commit to you that the two of you or three of you or four of you can help each other. Another kind of team is what I call an imaginary advisory board. You may not be able to collect an advisory board around the table, but you have people in your life that you admire, that you would like to advise you. And by phone or in one-on-one meetings, or even as you read their books, you can learn from your advisors and have them advise you on how to reach your goals and vision. There's a diagram that I pulled out of the book for you today that I'll share with you here that I use when I want to think about my team. You can see you are in the middle here. Sometimes I think of this as like a conference table where you are the focus, and gathered all around you are the people that are most important to your success. Can you fill in the names for all those chairs? Do you know who's on your team? When you can do that, you can go out and ask for their support. Ask them your questions. Tell them what you need. They will help you, and they will be your team. The 8th practice of personal leadership is keep learning. What do you most need to know? I'm an associate with the Leadership Research Institute out of San Diego, and the research shows that the #1 predictor of leadership effectiveness is a commitment to self-improvement. Now for you, that's good news, because you're here. You are already engaging in self-improvement. Now, how do you sustain that learning? What do you continue to do to make sure you're learning in the most powerful way? Number 1, ask yourself this question: what do you most need to know? A lot of leaders who want to learn forget to ask this question, and so they fill up on junk food, junk learning. They take every webinar, they read every magazine in a sort of haphazard, casual way. You can be even more powerful than that if you think about your vision and decide, what do you not know that you need to know in order to really excel? So that's the first step, is to understand what you need to know. The second step is knowing how to learn it. Reflection, reading, conferences, all of the things that you already know. The question isn't so much what do you do, the question is, are you doing it? I know we're fortunate here because we have one very easy solution. Nevada State Bank has started offering these webinars. I've seen them myself, and they're getting amazing speakers, high value information for you. I understand that they're putting together a website called nevadasmallbusiness.com that's going to gather all of these webinars, plus white papers and articles and other resources. A one-stop shop for you to find the information you need about what are other leaders doing to succeed and what do you need to do yourself. So as a Nevadan myself, I'm so pleased that we have this resource to build up our business economy. And I'm also excited for you that you have something so valuable that you can easily access, and you're already there. So I encourage you, as you continue growing as a leader, to continue to keep learning. Jack Welch put it bluntly. He said, "Good leaders are, by definition, voracious learners." Make sure you are keeping pace. The 9th practice of personal leadership is see possibility. And I love this question: how can you invite success to come to you? By learning to see possibility, you take advantage of all of the hidden opportunities all around you, the ones most people miss. The key is to be able to take yourself out of the fray and get enough space so you're freer to see those possibilities. There's an author named Shakti Gowan who wrote a book called Creating True Prosperity, and she makes a distinction between making it happen and letting it happen. So making things happen is familiar to all of us. It's that typically Western, business-oriented, aggressive approach. We want something, and so we go after it. letting things happen is more of an Eastern philosophy, more intuitive, where you allow things to come to you. The practice of seeing possibility is the most conceptual of the practices. So I want to talk a little bit more about how do you get your mind around this. But I assure you that seeing possibility is actually something you've experienced before. It looks like this. You're in the shower and suddenly your most brilliant idea occurs to you out of the blue. This is why some people have that little notepad at the side of their bed where they can write down the answers to their toughest questions that arrive in the middle of the night. Or for me, it happens when I'm driving, listening to music, and all of a sudden, I get an insight that makes everything clear. You've had this happen to you. It happens to us all the time. We don't always understand it, but just because we don't understand something doesn't mean we can't experience it more often. Many of the great and memorable breakthroughs in science and technology have come through this kind of epiphany. It's not working really hard. It's being open and capitalizing on one's own genius and intuition. But these epiphanies aren't just luck. They're the result of a process that's going on in your mind, a process that Herbert Benson at the Mind-Body Institute at Harvard calls the relaxation response. Our minds deliver us the answers we need when we grapple with the problem for a while, think about it, immerse ourselves in it, and then put our minds at rest. That's when the mind often delivers you your best possibilities. Richard Koch, who wrote the 80-20 principle, tells a story of the scientist Sir Isaac Newton, who is credited with discovering gravity. The story goes that Newton was sitting under a tree when an apple fell from the tree and thunked him on the head. Instantly, all of a sudden, he understood gravity. He unlocked the secrets of the universe. Now, to you or me, it may seem like that happened by magic or by chance. Or maybe it's just because Newton was a genius. But there's actually that process at work. If you think about it, Newton had been grappling with the problem of gravity for a long time. He thought about it, immersed himself in it, and studied it. But when his intuition struck, he was just sitting under a tree. When was the last time you just sat in silence and let the ideas come to you? It's important to notice that when Newton got his epiphany, he wasn't frenetically racing around the office, trying to catch up on emails or texting everyone he knew. In order to access your intuition, you need to give your mind some space. Now, you can try this. The next time you're working on a problem, give it your time and attention for a while. 20, 30 minutes is fine. Concentrate, think about it, get clear on what the questions are, and then give yourself a break. Close your eyes for a few minutes. Take a short walk. And then ask yourself the question again and see if the answers don't start to come to you. The ancient philosopher Chuang Tzu said, "Easy is right." That's the essence of seeing possibility. Now, one of the questions I often get at this point is, well, that sounds nice and all, and I would love to be able to get an epiphany, but I can't exactly take a nap in the middle of the day. I don't think my boss would like me just putting down my work and going for a walk. So I like to give a couple of examples of real-life leaders who practice this every day and actually make it a part of their success. One of the people who springs to mind is Lisa Weber. Lisa was a president at MetLife. She's young, she's got 2 small children and a very busy life, and yet she's also been recognized as one of Fortune's 50 most powerful women several times in a row. When I think of someone who's a president at MetLife with 2 small children, taking a nap in the middle of the day is not exactly what comes to mind. What Lisa does is she takes a morning run. Maybe not every day, but most days. And the reason she makes that a priority is because it helps her clear her mind, so she can be clearer and more successful in her work. Another example is Dave Olson. Dave is the Senior Vice President of Culture at Starbucks. Now, to me, Senior Vice President of Culture sounds like a really important job at a place like Starbucks. And yet, Dave finds time to go sailing and skiing. Those are the kinds of activities that clear your mind. If Lisa and Dave can make time for seeing possibility, so can you. The 10th practice of personal leadership is called all at once. How do you move from excellent to extraordinary? This practice is a reminder that you don't have to sacrifice some parts of yourself to be successful in others. It's about integration. Integration is the opposite of what we usually experience, which is fragmentation. I know you felt fragmented before. Sometimes it gets so bad you feel like you can fall to pieces. We think that way in a busy culture. We even have language for it. Work-life balance, public and private, work and home. But all of that fragmentation actually diminishes your ability to be powerful and successful. You're much more successful when you can bring together all the parts of your life and find what the philosopher Parker Palmer calls your hidden wholeness. Make every effort to bring all of yourself to everything you do. That brings us to the end of the 10 practices of personal leadership. So I want to pause here and say, I know that that's a lot of information. What I've outlined here is essentially a full program of personal leadership. It's exactly the kind of development, professional development, that good leaders practice for years. So I don't expect that you're going to start the webinar, listen for an hour, and then emerge ready and able to start practicing personal leadership in all of these 10 practices all at once. On the other hand, what I do expect is that I've given you some tools and some things to think about so that you can start practicing some of the elements of personal leadership that are going to make you the most powerful you can be. Whether you want to grow your business, increase your profits, improve your relationships, be a better business leader, get an advancement or a promotion, be a better parent, or be happier in your life overall, which are all goals that people have brought to me in my coaching. The process is the same. Get your vision, find focus, and take action on that. Do it in a way that you tap into your brilliance and find the fulfillment that's going to drive you forward with motivation and ease. Learn how to maximize your time so you can do more with less. Build your team. Keep learning. Train yourself to see possibility. And believe that you can have it all and be it all at once when you make it your intention to live an integrated, powerful life. So with the 10 practices of personal leadership, you have a place to start. But it's only a start. And I know that some of you will want to go further than that. So let me share with you a few of the resources that are available that you can access as you continue to practice personal leadership. First of all, I promised I would give you a summary of today's presentation. I'm putting it on my website. You'll find it at joellekj.com/10 practices. You'll see it lists all 10 practices along with the questions I've asked you. If all you do is reflect on those questions, you will be beginning a process of personal and professional development. On the other hand, that summary also includes a paragraph or two in each of the practices, so you can take this information and remind yourself of what you've learned today. So I would encourage you to go to the website and pick up that summary. Secondly, I'm making it easy for you on that page to register for the Inner Edge Quarterly, which is my version of a newsletter. It's really just an article or a series of articles that I put out a few times a year for the express purpose of supporting you in continuing to think like a leader and remembering to practice personal leadership. There's an issue of the Inner Edge Quarterly coming out soon, so I would offer to you to register for that. And of course, you can also buy the book, The Inner Edge, The 10 Practices of Personal Leadership, which is the extended version of the presentation we've had today. And so again, I'm putting all of these up for you at joellekj.com.